solving.com.au.
This is 5AA Weekends. Go-Go Juice, Neutrog Soil Probiotic at good hardware and garden stores. Neutrog.com.au.
Michael Keelan's Weekend. It's 24 minutes to 8. Morning, everyone. 8223 0000 is our number. Just before we get to Dr. Uwe, Geraldine has sent us in a photo. Her husband's grandmother's 7th edition of the 1932 Green and Gold Cookbook.
Her husband's grandmother's
7th edition. Geraldine herself has a 34th edition, over 50 years old, but her husband's grandmother's 7th edition, 1932, and it actually looks in pretty good nick, really.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Staple holes could do a bit of work.
Does that mean she didn't use it?
Possibly. Just gathered dust for the last 80 plus years. That's amazing.
Your old school, well, not your old school, but you had a bit to do with King's College.
Yeah, worked there for 6 years at Pembroke, and they put out some newer ones, which they called the Pembroke Green and Gold Book. But if you've got a photo of the old King's one, let us know. We'd love to put it up.
Isn't it amazing? South Australia really does, bat well above its grade, because when you think about it, that's an Australian icon, that cookbook.
Yep.
Used by so many new wives that would have sort of ventured away from mum, and mother would say, "There you are, darling. There's the key to success. Keep that man happy." And you can do that with the green and gold. Eh?
Indeed.
You reckon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Uwe, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Yeah,
You would have the German version of it, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, we got various cookbooks at home. Yes. My brother actually gave me one that I think it's the worst of German cooking or something, like with the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, but it's really
with words. Very clever.
Very clever. Yeah. I think in South Australia, I mean, as you were saying, we're punch above our weight. I think it has a lot to do with how South Australia was founded. To be honest, we had people coming here that weren't deported, so to speak, and I think that just built a different culture in South Australia.
They came here for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
So if you got a good German default recipe you go to, or a dish that...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I like, but I guess one of my favourites is what we call rouladen, which is basically like a beef olive, where you have effectively a piece of veal, and inside it you put speck, which is like a German type bacon, and with mustard, with onion, with gherkin, you roll it all up and you fry it up, and then we make our own noodles. So we make where I come from, the southern part, we call it spätzle, which are like an egg noodle, and then we have that together with red cabbage and gravy, and it's a beautiful meal.
Okay, moving on to why you're really here. Today we're looking at micronutrients.
Well, that's right, because we all see the sort of macronutrients in bold letters on the front of the bags. The NPK, the nitrogen, the potassium, the phosphate, that sort of thing, But in the meantime, a lot of people have also recognised that there's a few other nutrients there that are really important. Things like sulphur, calcium, magnesium. These are now recognised as secondary nutrients. But then there's that special group of nutrients, those micronutrients. So things like zinc, molybdenum, boron, iron, all of these things. It's a very long list. And so these are required in really small amounts. And so you should always be looking to have a balance of these types of things. I mean, today I brought in some Kahoona, and Kahoona has like a slightly elevated level of iron in it. And because it's designed for, say, a plant that lives in an acidic environment,
i.e. Camellias, Azaleas.
Exactly. Iron is a little bit more soluble, so these plants have developed or evolved to make use of that little bit extra iron that they can scavenge. So that you adjust your fertilisers according to the plants. But the question is, why do we need grams per kilo of nitrogen, say, but we only need milligrams of some of these other things? And it really has to do with when you start to look at a plant. If you look at a plant, you can essentially say, well, what I'm seeing is the structural part of the plant. So the cellulose that makes up the leaves and the stems and the flowers. So that's really basically carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. And then the internals that we can't see, which is in the DNA and the proteins, so that's made of things like nitrogen, potassium, phosphate, all these other things. So there you can see why you need those types of nutrients in relatively high concentrations. But what we can't see is the little guys that do all the work, what we call the enzymes. So enzymes are really long strings of amino acids all stuck together, and they fold up into very complex shapes. And within those shapes, there is what we call an active site. So that's where the enzyme actually does the work. So production of energy, growth, cell division is all driven by these enzymes. And these require these micronutrients in very small amounts because they don't make up a lot of the plant per se, so you don't need a lot. And so that's when you end up needing things like zinc and iron and all these other things.
It's very tiny amounts.
Very, very small amounts.
Yep,
very,
yep.
very trace amounts. Some people call them trace elements.
Yeah.
I think that's how you would buy them if you went to go to Bunnings or something and buy them. So the thing then is, why, for example, would a plant need more iron than, say, copper? Because if you look at the back of a bag, iron is always higher than, say, copper or zinc. And that has to do with which enzymes require which type of these micronutrients. For example, we require quite a lot of iron because for hemoglobin to bind oxygen in our red cells, it has iron in the centre. All right, so that's that active site I was talking about. So for plants, they need a lot of iron because a lot of the enzymes involved in actually making chlorophyll, which is the green stuff that captures the energy from the sun, needs iron to be made. And then within the chlorophyll itself is magnesium. So that's why a plant needs iron and magnesium. But there's a lot less enzymes involved in some of the other functions of a plant. And some of those may need copper, so you need a lower level of copper.
Now, the $64 million question, including myself, do people sometimes not quite understand what it's all about and look for a rose fertiliser for their roses or Kahoona for their camellias, rather than looking at the bag and going, oh, I don't know all about this stuff here. But these days you can buy fertiliser that you've mixed up, you've got a prescription for.
Yep.
Is that how most people look at fertilisers? Do they understand really?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why I come in here, is to try to get people to understand it. And I think the issue is that people just need to think that a plant, like anything else, needs a balanced diet.
Yeah.
So, for example, you don't make a fertiliser by just throwing together a bunch of chemicals and hoping for the best. No. You need to actually understand what a plant's requirements are. What's the physiology of the plant, just like our physiology. And then you also need to understand a little bit about what happens in different soil conditions when you put certain plants in. So, if you've got something like an orchid, now, they really love soluble fertilizers because of the type of root structure that they have. So, you might consider, for an orchid, you might consider a liquid fertilizer over a solid fertilizer because it's really readily accessible. And as I mentioned, now for something like an acid-loving plant, you'll go for something with a little bit higher iron. So it is a case of having horses for courses. But, when people say to me, oh, I've got one azalea and I've got 20 roses, do I need to buy azalea food? And I go, well, really, there is an overlap.
Yes.
If you're looking for the absolute perfect azaleas, then go and buy an acid-loving plant food. But if you're actually looking for perfect roses and you're doing azaleas because...
Striped back for roses.
Sudden back. Yeah, exactly.
And striped back
for orchids.
Orchids, that's right, yeah.
So, depending on what you got, I always say to people, well, your wife may want to have the perfect rose for her bouquet on a dinner table when she's cooked something out of the Green and Gold cookbook.
Right.
And then you go, well, then I should really invest in getting a rose food, whereas I like to grow the occasional azalea because I like the shape of the flower, so just go and use your rose food for that. Yes. You're not after the perfect bloom. Yeah,
that's what I was sort of trying to get to you, that a lot of people, and I'd say the vast majority of people, haven't got a clue of what they really need to get to fertilise their plants. So to see something in front of them that has a lovely photograph of a rose or an orchid, that's the default fertiliser, isn't it?
It is for many people.
But it can be used for other things.
It can be used for other things. And people should always look at the back of the bag. And I mean, if you're going purely for chemical fertiliser, if you're just going for NPK, like you're going for a lawn fertiliser, then often that won't really be suitable for many other plants. I mean, we've spoken before about things like Gigantic, which is our vegetable fertiliser. It's got a really high level of sulphur. I mean, if you're growing things like cabbages
and
they draw sulphur out of the ground like anything. That's the reason why they smell when you cook them. And that's that sulphurous smell. And they take 5 grams of sulphur out per square metre. That's a lot of sulphur. So, you need to put it back. So you need to understand about what you're trying to achieve. Well,
you, I reckon, you've done a good job today with micronutrients, with the sun in your eyes.
Yeah. Well, he stood there very nicely as a little sun blind.
Under duress too. Well, they're too noisy. It's the only problem with the mechanical. Well, how bad is that for the people listening at home on the digital radio?
In fact, it used to be quiet.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting
the motor's
good oil. Got anything in Neutrog that could just get rid of that sound?
Like Thunderbirds a go.
That's right.
Terrific. But if people want more information and more detail, if they really want to, dig down into it,
they can go onto our website.
Yeah.
There's
or
lots
as
of
they
information.
say, drill down
into it. They can go onto our website. They can pull up the information on all of our products.
Yep.
Info@neutrog.com is obviously a place you can contact us. You can go on the Facebook page. So there's lots of opportunities, and if people want to get more information or they want to get stories about what we do, we have something called the Pooh Bar Club, which I probably haven't really spoken about. People should sign up and, they'll get a little bit of information, a little bit like what I give here.
Yeah.
But it'll be about, some rose growers or somebody else, and then there'll be a little bit of stuff from what I do and that sort of thing. So it's a great way of getting some additional scientific information if that's what you're into.
It's free.
And it's free, yeah.
Terrific. Uwe, thanks for coming in. Good to have you in again.
No problem.
And if people want to contact you, just the info at
Neutrog.com. Yep.
Terrific.
Shout out to all the dahlia growers that I was seeing last week.
Yeah.
Yep,
in Victoria.
Yeah, in Ballarat. Yep.
Gee,
great bunch of people. Yeah. Great bunch of people. Very, very passionate.
Gun for hire.
That's right. He's like the Leyland brothers.
That's it.
He's our Dr. Uwe. Neutrog.com.au. Thank you too for the Kahoona, which we'll give away today. So if you've got any questions, 8223 0000 is the number. 12 minutes to 8 now. And Dr. Uwe, through duress, burnt retinas and all, he's going beautifully. Back after this.
5AA is celebrating the best of SA.